Right now at 6, a wrongful death lawsuit filed by the widow of the Sun Prairie fire captain killed in an explosion is moving forward. We'll have an update from court.
And honoring a fallen firefighter, how Madison first responders are stepping in to make sure Mitch Lungard's colleagues can be there when he's laid to rest.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
A motion to dismiss a wrongful death lawsuit involving the Sun Prairie explosion was denied today.
The widow of a firefighter who died in last year's explosion is seeking undisclosed damages. Our Keely Arthur was at the Dane County Courthouse. She joins us now with the very latest. Keely?
Well, it's been almost a year since that explosion in July, but the grief on Abby Barr's face still very fresh. She was quiet in court today and did not speak to us after following her attorney's orders, but lawyers on both sides of this lawsuit very vocal as a judge heard oral arguments for the first time today. Everyone agrees that on July 10th, 2018, Sun Prairie endured incredible devastation and loss.
This tragedy is really Sun Prairie's version of 9/11.
As for who is to blame, that's where the disagreements set in.
That's already been decided.
Dane County Judge Valerie L. Bailey-Wren heard oral arguments in court today. Attorneys for Abby Barr, the widow of firefighter Captain Corey Barr, who died in the explosion, say a number of companies are responsible for the father of two's death. Michigan-based company WISC-TV was doing contract work for Verizon Wireless, drilling underground for a fiber optics project when it hit a gas line. USIC Locating Services was tasked with marking the line, but failed to do so, leading a separate company, Bear Communications, to give WISC-TV the okay to drill. Authorities say it's the string of miscommunications that led to the explosion, and Barr and her team say it's negligent. She is suing WISC-TV, Bear Communications, USIC, and We Energies, which owns the gas line. 2 other firemen injured that day are also part of the suit.
Based on the facts set forth in the complaint and all reasonable inferences drawn therefrom and the public policy factors in play, we think that Abby Barr, Greg Pavlik, Ryan Welch, and April Welch are entitled to their day in court.
However, attorneys representing the companies argued the case to be dismissed, citing firefighters' rule, which prohibits a firefighter responder from recovering liability in connection to carrying out duties.
The negligence that necessitates the call, necessitates the fire person's present at the scene is the same negligence which they allege to cause injury. They cannot bring a cause of action. The Supreme Court said that for almost 50 years.
The judge denied the motion, saying she needed more information to make a ruling on public policy, given the extraordinary circumstances of this case. The case will now move forward. Now, all of those companies were cleared of any criminal wrongdoing last year. Abby Barr actually being sued herself by the property owners of the Barr house. They say that she and Corey Barr failed to make several payments, so lots of loose ends to tie up in this very sad saga.
Story will continue to follow, of course. Keely Arthur, live downtown Madison. Keely, thank you. Turning to weather now, a break from the rain today, but it won't last long. Let's check your first alert forecast now with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalta. Gary?
But compared to what's going on in other parts of the country, having some rain, really not a big problem. As we take a look at the visible cloud track, you can see there has been some clearing from north to south across the state. But there are some mid and high level clouds coming in from the west. That's actually the forerunners of that big storm down to our south. It's bringing severe weather to parts of Oklahoma and Texas. Right now, rain moving into southern Iowa, but it's going to take a while before it reaches us. Probably not getting here until sometime later tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night. Low temperatures this morning were on the cool side. A few places were in the upper 30s. Here in Madison, we hit 41 for an overnight low temperature. High temperatures also on the cool side. 57 was the best we could do in Madison. Farther to the north, where there was more sunshine, temperatures were in the lower 60s. And current temperatures range from the lower 60s to our north and west in La Crosse to as cool as 50 near Lake Michigan and Milwaukee. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be down into the mid 40s. Look for skies to turn cloudy overnight, and then we'll see some showers, maybe a thunderstorm late in the day tomorrow with a high temperature of 56. It'll also be windy as well. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. The Appleton firefighter killed in the line of duty last week is being laid to rest today.
Mitch Lundgaard was responding to a man having a medical emergency on a bus when the man pulled out a gun and exchanged shots with police. Lundgaard was killed in the gunfire. His memorial service is just getting underway tonight.
Earlier today, there was a public visitation and a funeral procession where community members lined the streets to honor him. Lundgaard was a husband, a father of 3. Danica Lewis shares how Madison firefighters are honoring his memory today.
The Madison Fire Department could have sent anyone up to Appleton to help out with the procession and funeral for a fallen firefighter, but instead, they sent a handful of people with ties to this station. The procession came right in front of the station where firefighters from across the state are filling in for the Appleton crew while they attend visitation and funeral services for Mitchell Lundgaard. That includes Lieutenant Casey Primusberger, who worked here in Appleton nearly 20 years ago when he first began his firefighting career. All 5 of the Madison firefighters who came up here to help used to work here.
The thing about working here is it's such a close-knit group. And you really know everybody really well, and it's you know, especially anything happens, good or bad, you know, it really affects everybody. So it's tough.
One of Lieutenant Primusberger's fellow firefighters on the Madison force even worked with Lundgaard in his time here in Appleton. The Madison crew and the rest of the firefighters in from out of town will wrap up their time here tonight. Danica Lewis, News 3 Now.
In less than an hour, crews will start resurfacing work on 2 sections of the Beltline in Madison. The DOT says drivers should expect slowdowns between 7 and 10 tonight on the Beltline between Gammon Road and Whitney Way, and also between Seminole Highway and the interstate. There will also be nightly lane closures in both directions. Those projects are expected to be complete in either September or October. Administrators are notifying parents tonight about a threat made at Jefferson Middle School. The principal emailed families today about a family member who was, quote, behaving in a disorderly fashion in the entryway. After the woman wasn't allowed inside, she reportedly made threats against the school. According to Madison police, 35-year-old Adrain Harris said she'd, quote, shoot up the school, start it on fire, or drive a car into the front doors. She was arrested for disorderly conduct and trespassing. To recognize EMS Week, first responders in Cambridge are holding a number of free classes. You can learn how to perform CPR and how to stop life-threatening bleeding. The #1 preventable cause of death from car crashes, farm accidents, shootings, and natural disasters is bleeding out in the minutes before trained professionals arrive. You can learn how to help tomorrow night and Wednesday morning. You can participate in a Stop the Bleed course at the Cambridge Fire Station. You can also learn CPR there on Thursday night. A Republican legislative leader says a new bill aiming to increase the number of registered voters is unnecessary. As Rose Schmidt explains, this Democratic proposal is likely part of a larger trend.
Yes, well, this new legislation is an effort to reintroduce a proposal that Republican leaders stripped from Governor Tony Evers' budget plan. Democrats also proposed automatic voter registration back in 2015. Now, in the coming weeks, we can expect to see Democrats introduce more of Evers' priorities as separate bills.
I have been committed to making sure every single vote counts.
Surrounded by Democratic lawmakers, Governor Tony Evers announces support for a new bill that would automatically register people in Wisconsin to vote when they get driver's licenses.
We're going to continue to fight for them, even though the Republicans have decided that voting, easy voting, was not on their agenda.
It's an idea Dane County Clerk Scott McDonald supports, saying it would lessen the work for clerks on Election Day.
As a same-day voter registration state, we still, as far as it comes to registration, do pretty well, and we have fairly high registration rates, but this would just make it easier.
But McDonald says if the proposal were implemented, clerks could face challenges in streamlining election records with the Division of Motor Vehicles records.
Some of the state databases that you'd be using are not set up the same as the voter database, and so you need to make sure that the fields line up.
This legislation is new to this session, but the idea of automatic voter registration isn't. Evers introduced it as part of his 2-year spending plan, but the Republican-controlled state budget committee stripped it and 130 other items from the budget. This new legislation will likely face the same fate, as it would need to clear Republican leaders. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says with online voter registration and same-day voter registration, the Democratic measure isn't needed. He says in a statement, the bill is a solution looking for a problem. It's easy to register to vote in Wisconsin. The Joint Finance Committee also voted to take other policy items out of the budget, like Medicaid expansion, legalization of medical marijuana, and the ability for undocumented immigrants to get driver's licenses. If these proposals are introduced as separate bills, they too would face a long road ahead with the Republican-controlled state legislature.
Rose, thank you.
More local news now. Elementary schoolers in Sun Prairie are working hard to bring a new Boys and Girls Club to their city. Students at the Bird Craft Club sold their artwork and raised $500 for the new $2 million club. Boys and Girls Club President and CEO Michael Johnson says the space will help address a shortage of early childhood education programs in that city and also provide after-school programming. If you're interested in making a donation, you can purchase a commemorative brick with your name on it at the Boys and Girls Club website.
The wet weather may be delaying some of your outdoor activities, and it's causing big problems for farmers.
We'll check in on their planting delays that they're seeing and how it'll affect the growing season. The News 3 Now at 6 continues. Stay with us. If you're sick of all this cold and rainy weather that we've been having, like a lot of us, well, you're not alone.
The weather has been keeping farmers out of their fields, shortening their growing season and putting their yields at risk. Mark Kane explains.
This planting season has definitely been one for the books.
When it rains, it pours, literally, making it hard for many farmers to get into their fields and plant the crops they and their animals depend on.
A nice squish sound. We're still behind by a couple weeks. Currently, we are lucky to have all our alfalfa in, though it got snowed on twice. We have all our soybeans in during that 4-day window where it was sunny and beautiful. And we have about 60 acres of our 400 acres of corn planted.
But dairy farmer Corey Brown is trying to stay optimistic.
The only thing keeping our stress in check is that we can't do anything about it.
With less than 10% of his corn in the ground, Brown is not alone.
Usually by about May 13th or so, we're about 50% of the state has been planted. And we're not anywhere near that.
Agronomist Joe Lauer says if the conditions are right, with all hands on deck, Wisconsin farmers can collectively plant 1.5 million acres of corn in a single week. But every passing day of not getting corn into the ground hurts the bottom line.
Every day that's delayed right now, you're losing about 1.5 bushels to 2 bushels as we get towards the end of May.
And the loss of those bushels per acre add up when corn yields about 175 bushels per acre.
As more and more of these dates go by, the potential for any kind of a profitable or economic yield goes quickly by as well.
Although it doesn't look like many farmers in Wisconsin will be getting into the fields this week, Brown is hoping for nice weather in the future.
It'll get in the ground when it gets in the ground. hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
I'm Mark Kane, News 3 Now.
The latest statistics from the USDA show that Wisconsin farmers have 52% of their corn and 30% of their soybeans planted. However, many farmers are having to change the varieties of corn they plant so it will be ready for harvest this fall.
If you're looking to book a flight for your summer vacation, we're sharing one woman's warning about a third-party booking site that caused a big headache. Her call for action story is just ahead. Stay with us.
We have a call for action from one woman who says an online travel site cost her thousands and took years to fix it.
Ashbrent Adhonem has 3 young daughters. She flew them to her home country of Ethiopia to see her brother get married. And they have great memories from the trip, but not so much about the flight there. Ashbrent says she bought her tickets through Cheapo Air online. When the family got to the airport, her 2 youngest daughters had been booked on a separate flight to another airport in Ethiopia.
That's frustrating, very frustrating, sad. This is neglect, abuse. How can 5 years old separate from her own mom, flying another airport without the parents? How?
So she had to pay out of pocket right there on the spot in the airport to get her daughters, young daughters, on the same flight with her. And coming up on News 3 Now at 10 tonight, we'll share how our Call for Action volunteers finally helped her get that money back.
Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now with a look at our work week forecast.
Yeah, kind of cloudy for much of the day today, but not much in the way of rain. We're very fortunate, though, to be where we are because we're missing out on a big severe weather outbreak to the south. Visible cloud track shows that the low clouds that we had this morning are starting to break up, and you can see there was some clearing coming in from the north, but while that was happening, there have been mid and high level clouds coming in from the south and west. These are actually the blow-off tops of some big thunderstorms that have been raking parts of Texas and Oklahoma. In fact, take a look at the severe weather reports. These are tornado reports, hail reports, high wind reports back down toward Lubbock, and it just continues to go on. This is high resolution Doppler radar, a number of tornado warnings in effect effect just south and west of the Oklahoma City area, some more up north of Oklahoma City, and then other warnings heading up into parts of southwestern Missouri. Just a nasty, nasty afternoon so far, and it's not over yet. Tornado watches are in effect from the Texas panhandle into much of Oklahoma, and now have been expanded eastward into parts of Missouri and Arkansas. There's a high risk of severe thunderstorms all the way through the Oklahoma City area, with moderate to enhanced risks as far east as Joplin, Missouri, and Fort Smith, Arkansas, and then up to the north, risk of severe weather as far north as Kansas City. But tomorrow, that severe weather threat shifts north and east. The enhanced risk is from northern Arkansas through much of Missouri as far north as St. Louis. But notice where we are in conjunction with that severe weather threat area. Marginal risk about to I-80 in parts of Iowa and Illinois. But right now, it looks like we're going to miss out on any severe thunderstorm activity. There are some showers moving through parts of southern Iowa, just starting to see a couple of flashes of lightning down toward the Missouri border. Once this precipitation reaches us, and that'll probably happen more likely later tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night, we'll be looking at about a ½ inch to an inch of rain over much of southern Wisconsin. Live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. Sky is still pretty cloudy there, but as we take a look at the WISC Skycam, notice there are some breaks in the clouds allowing some sunshine to get on through, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing mostly cloudy skies, but again, every once in a while you'll catch a break with a little bit of sunshine making its way on through the clouds. Almanac for today, high 57, well below the average high of 70, the low 41. Right now we're sitting at 57 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. The air is calm. Forecast for tonight calls for a low temperature of 44 degrees, generally partly cloudy skies, and then clouding up toward morning. Tomorrow we'll see some showers, perhaps even a few thunderstorms, especially late in the day. High temperature at 56, and it'll be windy with a brisk easterly wind 15 to 25 miles per hour. Overnight, we'll see the skies turn cloudy by morning. Low temperatures mid-40s. Then we'll see some shower chances tomorrow morning. Showers, perhaps a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms likely tomorrow night. But notice the temperature is only dropping a few degrees as winds shift to the south on Wednesday. And then as the skies clear out, temperatures climb into the upper 70s. Rainfall amounts, again, probably about a ½ inch to an inch through Wednesday night and early Thursday morning. 7 to 10 day forecast. Highs around 80 on Thursday. There'll be some thunderstorm chances as we head toward Memorial Day, but also not a complete washout for the holiday weekend. Temperature is still in the 70s through much of next week.
The Packers are back on the practice field for OTAs, so Aaron Rodgers' transition to the new offense continues. We'll hear from number 12 in sports. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals is tomorrow night in Toronto. The Bucks lead the Raptors 2-1. Game 4 tips off at 7:30 tomorrow night. Game 3 last night, the Raptors won in double overtime. Bucks didn't play very well with bad shooting and turnovers, but they still almost won the game. That's today's positive spin. Game 3 was a bit of an aberration.
I know we're going to step our level of play up. I thought we came out, went through the motions a little bit, got ourselves down. And it was sort of a hole we couldn't really dig out of the whole game. So our energy and effort will step up.
But at the end of the day, it wasn't our best game. We can get a lot better, and that's for me that makes me really excited about the team. And we got to come back, focus in Game 4, and try to set the tone from the beginning.
The Badger softball season ended yesterday in Norman, Oklahoma, 1 game away from the Super Regionals. Wisconsin did beat Oklahoma, stopping the Sooners' record 41-game winning streak, but Oklahoma beat Wisconsin in the regional final 2-0. So the Badgers ended their season with a 43-14 record. Regional final today, Big Ten regular season and tournament champion Michigan is out. James Madison beats the Wolverines in Ann Arbor 2-1. There are still 2 Big Ten softball teams alive in the NCAA tournament. Minnesota and Northwestern are in the final 8. The Super Regionals next weekend. Packers are back in the field in Green Bay. They had an organized team activity today. Tomorrow they'll practice on Clark Hinkle Field, and it's open to the public tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, weather permitting. OTAs means another step in getting used to new head coach Matt LaFleur and new offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett's new offensive system. For Aaron Rodgers, it's quite a change from the system he's used to one of the last 11 years with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, everything's new for the offensive players, so we're working through the playbook. It's just a fraction of it right now, which is actually nice for a lot of us who've been in the system for a while, myself especially. So yeah, the plays look great on the film. It's going to be kind of incorporating them with the guys that we have and finding who those guys are who run those plays best and putting our best players in position to make an impact on the game.
Badger volleyball star Dana Retke is named to the United States national team. She's the youngest U.S. player to compete in the 5 Volleyball Nations League tournament in Bulgaria. Retke joins Lauren Carlini as the only Wisconsin players to compete with the U.S. national team in an FIVB level event. And forward Madison FC drew 3,700 fans for their latest home match at Breese-Stevens Field Saturday. They'll have a significant friendly this Friday night at Breese. Hertha Berlin, which plays in the German Bundesliga, will face the Flamingos Friday night at 7. The Bundesliga is arguably the second best soccer league in the world behind the English Premier League. Again, forward Madison and Hertha Berlin Friday night at Breese-Stevens Field. So they're drawing like 4,000 people for their game.
And imagine how good it'll be when the weather is really nice.
You just have to wait. Don't. I'm trying to clear the clouds. Take a look. I'm in the satellite view trying to clear the clouds out, but the clouds will win out for tomorrow. No rain out there right now, but while temperatures are on the cool side, mid-50s to around 60. Look for mid-50s tomorrow, windy day with showers, thunderstorms, but a warm-up as we head toward the holiday weekend, and then generally low to mid-70s, some thunderstorm chances through Memorial Day.
All right, Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 6.
Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.